President Cyril Ramaphosa has, in terms of the Constitution, called for a joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament in liaison with the National Assembly Speaker, Ms. Togo Angela Didiza, and the National Council of Provinces Chairperson, Ms. Refule Mthweni-Tsipan. The joint sitting serves as a platform for the President to deliver his annual State of the Nation address. The State of the Nation address is an occasion for the President to set out the government's key policy objectives and priorities for the year ahead. The joint sitting is scheduled for Thursday, 12 February 2026 at Cape Town City Hall at 7 p.m. Watch the State of the Nation address live across Parliament's platforms and follow Parliament on social media and join the conversation using hashtag SONA 2026. Your Parliament, your voice, your future.
The State of the Nation address is an address to the nation by the President of the Republic of South Africa as the head of state. It is commonly referred to as the annual opening of Parliament. The President uses this occasion to set out the government's key policy objectives and deliverables for the year ahead in a wide-ranging address to members of Parliament, which is the basis for executive action during that calendar year.
Order, honourable members. Honourable members, the President has called this joint sitting of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces in terms of Section 84, subsection 2D of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, read with Joint Rule 13, subsection 1A, to deliver his State of the Nation address to Parliament. I now call on the Honourable the President to address the joint sitting.
It is one of the rare occasions where the three arms of state, the executive, government, the legislature, parliament, and the judiciary, the courts, gather in one place. The executive is represented by the deputy president and cabinet. The judiciary is represented by the chief justice and judge presidents. The legislature is represented by the presiding officers and members of parliament. Since 1994, the tone of the State of the Nation address has been inclusive, joyful, and informal. The opening of Parliament became an opportunity to showcase the country's cultural diversity.
I think when we started the organization 19 years ago, the whole vision was, how do we make the world better for people? How do we make sure that people's social issues are dealt with and the environmental issues? One cannot exist without the other. And so when we talk about people, we're talking about marginalized communities, under-resourced, underrepresented individuals, youth and community members across South Africa. I think a massive challenge that we're facing in our work, specifically around energy and climate justice, is that the problem keeps building and it keeps strengthening. So we take one step forward, then it's 6 steps back basically, because that's how the issue is. I mean, we saw load shedding disappeared for some, but load reduction is still happening in Joburg. We're seeing the climate crisis. The Climate Act was signed into action in 2024, but what we've seen recently is climate floods and disasters across South Africa and the world as a whole. And so I think a big issue is that the forces that we're against, which is a government not willing to take the needs of people seriously, indecision and less action is a problem. And so we're not saying this is a war against the people and the government, but rather that we need more communication, we need more action, and we need more strengthened partnership between different sectors. our successes aren't ours. It's the people that we work with successes as well. And so when we talk about showing individuals what solar could look like in communities on a small scale level through working with youth, that's a big challenge. That, electricity is a big issue, energy poverty is a big issue. And so for us, a success is building knowledge and building capacity with people. It's helping them understand that they have a voice, and they know they have a voice, but now their voice matters in conversations with government. And so it's teaching them how to access spaces for conversation. A big part of my work is, and a few of my colleagues' work, is going into the communities that we come from ourselves, building understanding, building capacity, and saying, cool, there's this hearing happening, there's this opportunity for you to have your voice heard. Whatever you want to say about your issue, go and say it. And they say, no, well, I don't feel like I should. I think it needs to be a technical input. An input in South Africa is, my issue is this, government, I need this. And that can be clear enough. I think a big thing when it comes to our president is we keep hearing that we are going to get this change, and this change is coming. I think a few years we heard the line, no African child left behind. And that sat heavy in my chest, because after that we saw the Presidential Climate Commission come forward. We started seeing conversations about a big change in our country and how we're going to be leading in the continent, and then no action occurred. A big issue that we face right now is one on many levels. It's an intersectional issue. People's energy issue is a massive one, land, water, food, and these are all further affected by the climate crisis. And so when I say one big thing that we want our president to do, it's quite a difficult thing, but if we had to say it, it needs to be a systematic approach to injustice, to uprooting injustice and making lives better for people in our country. At the end of the day, our president knows what needs to be done. It's time for action. I think we need to see harmonization of different policies and government departments when addressing the climate crisis in South Africa. One department will say something that contradicts another, whilst our president is leading the conversation on a global level. One thing I wish we could see is proper cross-communication in our government and proper resourcing of our municipalities to take action. What I would say would make SONA credible would be proper timelines communicated, clear actionable steps, not another story about a young person that's moved their way through this journey. I mean, right now we're sitting at the perfect opportunity to see change. We have 30 years of our constitution in South Africa, 50 years since the 76 uprising, and local elections on the horizon. If government doesn't make a very clear pathway or actionable, especially following G20 and our success of hosting G20 last year, I think we're going to fall flat. And so we need good management, we need clear communication, and we need timelines with milestones that can help civil society monitor and track the effectiveness of actions. The Constitution of South Africa is one of the most fundamental documents, I think, that guides our country. And it shouldn't just be guiding our country in the way that we feel or the way that we act, but how we follow law, how we practice in our daily ways, and how we move through our nation. It is not only this document that is placed there, it's actually a very progressive document, one that looks out for all people, one that has protections for people, for the environment, for the economy, one that projects a future that could be. But I think the issue is, one thing can be written in theory and another thing can be done in practice. When we see our government tell us, no, please don't protest during G20, even though we have a constitutional right to do that, it's a contradiction of, no, but South Africans are going to do what we're going to do regardless. I think when it comes to that document, it needs to be more than a document. It needs to be something that we really embrace as citizens of our country. We need to embrace our constitution, our laws, and our rights, more importantly. If we say power to the people, it must mean power to the people, not just electricity, but social justice power as well. And so I would genuinely say to South Africans who are like, oh, the constitution, it's just a document. It's not a document. It's a way of life, it's a way of living, it's a way to secure our rights in this country. And if anyone would oppose those rights in our country, who would violate rights, I think I would say resist. Resist like never before. We are at the tipping point. We are 30 years of our constitution. It's time for change, it's time for action.
The State of the Nation address is called in terms of Section 42.5 of the Constitution by the President of the Republic. It is a joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament and one of the rare occasions that brings together the three arms of the state under one roof.
This is an occasion of state as well as of Parliament. In South Africa, the great ceremonies of state is the inauguration of the president, is the receiving of a foreign head of state. It is the state funeral of a head of state. It is the swearing in of members of cabinet and the swearing in of members of parliament. It is the investiture with national orders and the State of the Nation address. Of those ceremonies of the state, there are four where full ceremonial format is usually followed. And that is the inauguration of the president, that is the state opening of parliament or the State of the Nation address to parliament, and that is the state funeral of a head of state and receiving a foreign head of state.
The full ceremonial format includes full military honors by the South African National Defence Force, a red carpet, a national salute by the ceremonial guard, a salute flight by the South African Air Force, the national anthem, and a 21-gun salute. The Constitution protects our democracy by separating the power of the state into three different but interdependent components or arms: the legislature, which is Parliament, the executive, known as well as the cabinet, and the judiciary, which are the courts. The three arms of the state ensure that power is divided, so no arm of the state has all the power. This minimizes the risk of abuse of state power. Each of these arms has its own responsibilities, but functions in a way that complements each other, so that effective cooperative governance is possible. Parliament consists of two houses, the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces, whose members are elected by the people of South Africa. Each house has its own distinctive functions and powers, as set out in the Constitution. The National Assembly is responsible for choosing the president, passing laws, ensuring that the members of the executive perform their work properly, and providing a forum where the representatives of the people can publicly debate issues. The National Council of Provinces is also involved in the lawmaking processes and provides a forum for debate on issues affecting the provinces. Its main focus is ensuring that provincial interests are taken into account in the national sphere of government. The President is the head of state and of the national executive. He exercises executive authority together with other members of the cabinet, namely the Deputy President and ministers. The executive develops policy, for example, by preparing and initiating legislation which it submits to Parliament for approval. It then implements that policy by running the administration of the country by means of the different government departments. The executive must account for its actions and policies to Parliament. The judiciary is made up of the courts, such as the Constitutional Court, the Supreme Court of Appeal, High Courts, Magistrate Courts, and other courts established or recognized through an Act of Parliament. The head of the Constitutional Court is also the Chief Justice of South Africa. The Constitution states that the courts must be independent and act impartially. Organs of state such as Parliament and the executive must assist and protect the courts in order to ensure their independence. impartiality, dignity, accessibility, and effectiveness. This constituted division of state power is an important democratic principle called the separation of powers.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has, in terms of the Constitution, called for a joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament in liaison with the National Assembly Speaker, Ms. Togo Angela Didiza, and the National Council of Provinces Chairperson, Ms. Refulem Tweni-Tsipan. The joint sitting serves as a platform for the President to deliver his annual State of the Nation address. The State of the Nation address is an occasion for the President to set out the government's key policy objectives and priorities for the year ahead. The joint sitting is scheduled for Thursday, 12 February 2026 at Cape Town City Hall at 7 p.m. Watch the State of the Nation address live across Parliament's platforms and follow Parliament on social media and join the conversation using hashtag SONA 2026. Your Parliament, your voice, your future.
Thanks very much. Thank you for having me today. My name is Dr. Yvonne Lewis. I'm a director at the Greenhouse Consultancy. We support government and companies to realize a transition to a low carbon future towards a green economy. So we support companies and government in doing that. I think there's been a lot of activity around climate change mitigation and moving towards a low carbon economy. And so government as well as corporates are invested in making the real changes to achieve a lower carbon future. I think one of the challenges when it comes to climate change specifically is policy certainty. So we're looking to government to really be clear on the direction that the country is taking, and then corporates can respond accordingly. But at the moment there seems to be, we say one thing and then there's a delay or there's a change in tune. So we really are looking for policy certainty to drive, to make investors feel secure and be able to invest in what's required to achieve a low carbon society. I'm really excited and encouraged by the fact that our country, after a long time, has now seen the Climate Change Act come to be a reality. So instead of just talking about climate change, we really have it enacted in policy. And we're really starting to see that we are now implementing policy. And for me, that is so encouraging. And we just need to carry on doing more of the same. Yes, definitely. I think climate adaptation is the flip side of climate change mitigation, and it's equally important. It's really important that we address the concerns of the most vulnerable in our society, and not just as a disaster response measure, but really in terms of climate change adaptation, so that we mitigate the risk that's faced by society. I think all of those sound like great ideas. I think all of the above. I think with climate change, both mitigation and climate change adaptation, we need everything to be done at the same time and at a high level. As a climate change organization or a company working in climate change, we're very much committed to supporting both government and corporates. For government, we're here to support the implementation of the Climate Change Act in our small way, but also in our lives, in our own personal capacities. We have a responsibility to contribute in the way that we can as individuals. It's vitally important. We want to grow a green economy, not just in green fashion, but in all areas of the green economy. And that's really an opportunity that we can't miss. I think the Constitution is absolutely fundamental to protecting human rights and the rights of our everyday people. But I think we can build on it, and I think we need to start stop talking and see a bit more action, to actually, so that people can see the impacts of the change that we're wanting to bring about. I think climate change is something that we often think is government's responsibility, but we each can take actions on our own to reduce our personal impact. Be that looking at what we buy, overconsumption, reducing our own personal impact, and being part of the change. We're South Africans and we're known for innovation and doing stuff. So we can all have a part to play.
The State of the Nation address is a state ceremony, which means the President will take a national salute on a podium outside the National Assembly building, which includes the 21-gun salute and a flypast by the South African Air Force. The 21-gun salute became an international norm for the highest honor a nation rendered and is fired in honor of the head of state. The guns are fired from the company gardens behind the parliamentary precinct. The 21-gun salute will start when the national anthem starts, synchronizing the first shot with the first note of the anthem. The whole salute takes 1 minute and 40 seconds. There are 5-second gaps between the shots. The 21 guns are fired from 4 25-pounders. So gun number 1 will fire 6 shots, and the remaining guns will fire 5. The end of the anthem is marked by a flypast by the South African Air Force, which takes place on the last note of the national anthem. The flypast is meticulously planned to ensure that the planes are flying over Parliament at the correct moment.
Platform thing, the mega girl, the mere condema, the chicken only, chicken care, gaming, the gaming, chicken, or homey had to is a to Saka, so my first performance was in Platform thing at Valdebesque. Valdebesque is a rock art site. So that side have a rock art painting of our elderly people, forefathers, old people. So that was my first time performing when I was doing the poetry. And afterward, I came back and I was just writing, and then one of my friends from Kimberley outside Platform is Cassie. Someone saw opportunity of they're looking for someone who can do a poetry on the UDF 40 years anniversary celebration. So that person asked me if I can try that, and then I give my details to them. And then maybe I think it was like 1 week, and those people call me and ask me if I'm available to attend their celebration, and then I available myself to be there. And that was the second time I performed. And then after that performing, I think they like the performance that I gave them, so they booked me again. And then I did the other one also at the Kimberley City Hill. And for me, like, I do not know what to say. like I'm excited and I'm nervous, and nervous is excitement. So I think I'm the chosen one, because there was also like challenges, because one of my friends, not my friends, is an elderly woman, but we work very close together. So she nominated me, and when those people called both of us to ask who can be nominated to do the praising for president. And then I was thinking about someone, and then when they called her, she nominated me, and those people came back and said, "Congrats, Martha, nominated you to do this." And then I was asking myself, I even asked her, like, what did I do to deserve this? Why did you do this to me? And she said, "No, I trust you, and I believe in you, and I know you can." And then I was like, in that couple of days, I was asking myself, I couldn't get it right. I'm like, why did this woman nominated me? So for me to build that state is like a dream come true, because I used to tell my old former boss that I want to be a female president. That's what I told him. When I started to prepare for this performance, I did a little bit of research about the president himself to find maybe more information. And after I did the research, then I started to write. I think that was like on Tuesday night. I started writing last week Tuesday night. And I just wrote a sample thing, and then I went through it and I shared it with someone and asked what do they feel about it. I actually did write, I wrote 2. So I write the first script, and then I couldn't feel the other one, and then I told myself, like, the first one, I'm not feeling it, so I'm not going to use that one. And then I write the second one. So when I wrote the second one, and I take the first one and I compare it with the first one, and then I check both of them, and then this one actually got something that is strong, and then I decided that I'm going with the second one because it had like a good message. So this is how I prepared the poetry for the performance. What I can say is that any young upcoming poet or anyone who might think they can do it, or maybe always dream to do it, they shouldn't stop writing. They should look at the ones that got like recognized by the big line, those people who get an award for it. And they must also try to attend like poetry workshop, because I see FBOP have this thing that they give poetry writers the workshop. They will send you the link to join it online. So you need to submit something and then always join the class. And they shouldn't give up, because like you never know what is tomorrow is holding for you. So you just have to write, because maybe there is someone who's watching and you don't know what you're gonna get, and maybe someone is gonna surprise you with something big and amazing. So all I'm saying to them is they should never stop writing. You can write anything, even if you got it in sitting in the bus traveling somewhere and you get inspiration or something that you can see, because we get our inspiration by a lot of things. You can get your inspiration by the movement of people, or maybe the sound, or maybe anything. You get your inspiration there, and if you see something that brings message in your mind, you should just write a sample thing, and then afterward you can see what you can do about it. Poetry is a big platform where you can also say stories about yourself and others, because you are writing not just for fun, you are writing for things that you are seeing. And I personally, when I started writing, I was writing through my emotional, the thing that I was experiencing at the time. So sometimes you get it, like you, and the word is just gonna pop into your head, what is coming out, and that is the thing that I think they should stick on. And it actually brings a lot of message if you can look deeper in that. It is a storytelling through art, because you are there's children who are watching you, there's people who are looking at you, and some of the other people don't understand, but the ones who knows the thing understand what is the message that you are spreading to the world of through poetry. I actually want to publish a book about the real life in my community. I started, I think maybe many years I've been writing little pieces, but I'm not getting where I want to get. So maybe after this performance, I have to just keep writing, and that is going to be the second big thing that I always want to do. And I want to be the first person publishing a very good book written by indigenous woman or indigenous person like me in my community. I want to be the first one who do that, because I know in history no one have ever done that. It's only the professor who come and study our culture and study things, and the doctors, professor who come and study our things, they are the ones who's writing books about us. I want to be the first one from my community doing that in future. And yeah, I have a very big dream of seeing myself in the very big stage, and I believe in that one day it's going to happen. So maybe this is the start.